My company, MGM Resorts International, and in Las Vegas, we have 10 properties. Within those 10 properties, I have about 42,000 guest rooms. I have 350 restaurants, 450 retail outlets, 3 million square feet of convention space, 15 showrooms, 2 arenas. We're building a 3rd arena right now. We're actually breaking ground in April of a new 20,000 seat indoor-outdoor arena with a plaza out front. I've got, all these different companies under this umbrella called MGM Resorts. So within that, my group, Multimedia and Guest Technology, runs about 50,000 displays. And that's everything from a in-room television that has marketing capabilities. I really look at the TV in the room now as a marketing channel. All the way down to a 7-inch display on a table games, to a 260-foot high marquee. We just put in a $20 million marquee in front of our City Center, our Aria product that's out there. So it's kind of, I run the gamut. Touch screens, Twitter boards, photo booth boards, wayfinding, convention wayfinding. It's a monster. When I came here, they were just building Treasure Island, and what they wanted was to somehow get out messaging in a quicker method. And so what I did is I'm an old Mac guy, right? But it's funny, Mac just had the 30th anniversary. I'm a 29-year user, okay? So I am old, holy crap. So what I did is I took a Mac, and there was a program called Macromind Director, which is really the grandfather of Flash. And what I would do is I would build these Macromedia Director shows, Macromind Director shows, and I would load them up in a player on this Quadra 840 Macintosh. I would spit it out, this VGA, and I'm going to get technical on you, a VGA 2-row, which was only a Mac VGA signal, into what was called an RF modulator, and then I would tune it to a channel, whatever that RF modulator was, like channel 93, and anywhere in the hotel where you would turn on channel 93, it would show this director show playing in a loop, on a continual loop. And that was literally my first digital signage solution. No one, me, 93. And that's really what it all started from, and it just kind of grew out of that, necessity. I'm a unique animal, because we do content, we do software, and we do hardware. So I don't, I need IT interfaces, which is that's really where this whole thing is morphed into. Initially, we were just pushing out marketing. Standalone, one-way, push marketing out. And then as the, more and more interactive boards, and now especially a lot of stuff we're doing with Twitter, and now with iBeacons and low-energy Bluetooth and things going like that, I've got to get into the hooks, the APIs into systems, into POS systems, so we can do dynamic pricing. One of my big pushes right now is to eliminate the printed room service menu in my rooms. Because if I don't have that printed, and I can put that on the display in the room, now not only can I do dynamic pricing, but I can, do midnight specials or whatever it is that I want to push content to. We're doing a lot of that right now with the drink menus, with iPads for wine, dessert, and drink menus, where we can do dynamic pricing. What's better to buy some cocktail, make it up, an apple teeny or something like that is in print, or if I can actually see a visual of it. We have, right now I literally have examples of certain outlets, the drink sales are up 20 to 30% just on implementing a digital device in that outlet. I was a big proponent. I thought that near-field communication would kind of take off, and it's really now, for me, it's how do I tie in my mobile device to the digital device that is stationary. I'm looking on a restaurant touchscreen, I'm looking at the menu and the pricing and the times. How do I now transfer, I want to book a reservation on that. How do I transfer that off to the mobile device that consumer is holding in their pocket? I think it's really that integration is really the next big thing. And QR codes have done it to some degree. Like I said, I thought near-field communication would be it, but you got to have the device manufacturers put it on the phones. You basically got to have Apple buy in on the damn thing. And so I know it's iBeacons, this low energy Bluetooth. I think it's going to, hopefully, knock on wood, will be the one where I can finally kind of integrate the consumer's mobile device in with my digital platform, my digital signage, and I've got this cross-pollination at that point. The number one tip is come to this show. I will tell you one thing that, being in this since the beginning, this year's show, I kind of look, I'm like, holy crap, this has actually grown into something. You know what I mean? I'm like amazed what a broad, swath it is taken in internationally. I've met a ton of people from all kinds of verticals that I never even think about, because I periodically poke my head out of my fishbowl and go, oh, there's a whole nother world out there, the transportation, the medical. I mean, really, it's amazing how many people are in this space now, that I never even realized. I think the first and foremost is, and I always preach this to everyone, is know your strengths, but more importantly, know your weaknesses. So, if you really come from a content background, then concentrate on that. You know content, you know what it is, but you may not know what software and hardware. That's really where you can leverage this show. You can get out, you've got everyone here, you can touch, you can feel, real world experiences, and I think that's something that is, where else are you going to find all that in this space, anywhere in the world, under one roof? For me, I'm such an open book. I am. I'm willing to share. Like I said, my group does a tour every year, pre-show tour, where they bring in 50, 75 people and basically go in the underground and see how everything's run, all the different devices. So we're very, very collaborative, because one, we've been doing it so long, and I do want to help. I do want to reach out, and I think that it is very, very communal, and has become more and more that and it is a lot of people just want to know, what are you doing? What works? What doesn't work? I think it is somewhat unique in that. Where you look at, we get CES in here, right? Which has components of this. NAB, the broadcasters will be here in April. They're here every year, and there's more walls are up, because it's manufacturers trying to sell their stuff and only their stuff, and don't talk to them. It's only my, we sell the biggest and the best. Where I think it's more of and it might be more of, because of what I was speaking to earlier, how I've got to reach into APIs and hooks and POS and this integration. So there's not one manufacturer that can cover the gamut in this industry. I need a screen manufacturer. I need a software provider. I need a content provider. I need a software integrator. And so I think I actually had never really thought about it until this moment. I think that kind of brings this communal, element together. Content is still king. It still drives everything. You can have the greatest system, the greatest devices, but if your content is horrific, it's all for naught. And I struggle with content all the time, because I see incredible content and I see horrific content. And remember, we develop it. We have an internal agency, advertising internally. I have Cirque du Soleil as partners. We have nightclub partners. We have 2 arenas, remember? So I'm constantly getting content in from, all kinds of different acts and sporting events and types of things like that. I think the 2, because you can't control a lot of that, right? I always joke that I want to put a watermark in everything that we create, so I can point out what we did and what isn't ours. But I think the 2 biggest things that really, and it's something, once again, with that integration, if you can kind of simplify the process, because what happens with content is it tends to go through this chain of approval, and it gets bogged down in that for the simplest, stupidest changes, for a phone number or a date or something like that. And so if you can almost, and we do a lot of this where it's a composite of content. So I've got my main product that I'm trying to sell, a Cirque du Soleil love show, let's say, right? I've got the logo, I've got the approved, design and graphics. But whatever that call to action is, if I don't have to flatten that in the file, and I can have a dynamic field in there, so that if it's a last minute change and we don't have to recreate the entire wheel, and someone that has the approval power can literally insert whatever that call to action is, 2-for-1 tickets, whatever, locals, weekend special, it just expedites the entire problem. I always use this example. I said I need 2 Starbucks ads, and that's all I ever need. I need a hot latte with steam and foam coming up off of it, and I need a cold frappuccino. And when the temperature gets to this, run the hot one, and when the temperature gets to that, run the cold one, and I'm done with Starbucks forever. And so if you kind of think about the process and eliminate as many of those, kind of hiccups and bumps in the road, it just helps with the other stuff that is always last minute coming down. My team is about 30 people right now. Like I said, content, hardware, and software. I have the ability, because everyone wants to get into my space, they're intrigued by what we do. I go and I can literally hand-pick the cream of the crop, which is why we say I have the best team out there. I'll put my team up against anyone, anywhere, anytime. And it is, because I know who's out there, and I can hand-pick them. And so it's a huge advantage. I actually I'm the chairman of what's called the Joint Technical Skills Committee here in town. It's UNLV, Clark County School District, and CSN, the community college. And what it is, it's kids coming up in my field, what they should be learning, the classes they should be focusing on. And so what we did for years and years and years, in fact, they've changed. Of course, the lawyers got involved, and so some things have changed. We had an intern program. And so I would bring interns on. They would work for 12 weeks, which once again allowed me to kind of look at the cream of the crop, and we would develop certain kids, and I hired probably about 5 of them over the years that we literally handpicked out of the program. And so it was a great opportunity for us to see kind of who worked and who didn't work. I'll tell you exactly my biggest challenge is. This is a simple one, is since now that everyone has a smartphone, everyone thinks they're a freaking expert. And so now suddenly, where 3, 4, 5 years ago, everyone left you alone because they really didn't understand what you did. Now everyone seems to think they know what you do. And so everyone's got an opinion. And things that would be easy to implement and get through, now everyone wants a say in it. And it's one of my biggest challenges right now. The other part of it is the analytical part of it. Is, we collect a ton of data. Just the amount of data that we collect is enormous. And it's starting to kind of filter through that and see what is proven out. It's easy for me to put in a tablet in a food and beverage outlet and look at year over year and see whether it's working or not. But it's the other stuff. If people are interfacing, I know what they're looking at, I know what they're doing, but what is the real horsepower and value behind these things?